Hi guys, and welcome back one more time. Today we're going to be switching it up a little bit. I'm going to be discussing the case of actually the story of a Lebanese national businessman who created two actual shell companies in the U.S. Um, kind of in the midwestern, mostly on the eastern side of the United States. And it was basically a what would be like a middleman for retail uh, throughout the U.S. He actually conducted a very well organized what would be called offense for purchased goods. So he was charged and he was actually given 13 years for interstate transportation of stolen goods and obstruction of justice. And following his actual sentence, federal sentence, he will be deported to his native country. And he actually pulled this off for 5 years, and he has to pay a restitution fine of a little bit over $500,000. And for you to get that restitution actual uh, court order, there has to be proof that he actually has access to that type of money. So he reported that sort of money throughout his actual life in the U.S. So therefore, he has access to that, and they will freeze all your funds, your properties, anything that's under your name. They would actually consider for you to pay that actual fine back, restitution, not really fine, restitution. Okay. So they labeled him a high-ranking fence meaning um, this individual will buy stolen goods and resell it for profit. And the actual providers of them stolen goods are considered by the name of boosters. And what he primarily actually dedicated himself to would be over the counter medications, would be like aspirin, Tylenol, NyQuil, then type of actual items, and baby formula he could actually get rid of. Health, beauty supplies, shampoo. He would actually um, receive these goods, strip their labeling, and put on new labeling. And he would be considered a fence because he has the right customers to sell these types of goods to. And if he did it for 5 years, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, and he had the right people supplying him with actual stock. So he had plenty of actual merchandise to actually offer his customers. And we're not talking about a case, we're talking about pallets worth of actual stolen goods. And the actual retailers that were actually affected would be, for example, a Target, a CVS, a Walmart, a Walgreens. They were the actual victims of these actual robberies. And the people that were actually gathering these actual goods, they had connections in these stores. You just don't walk in and walk out with a case of actual baby formula, especially when they're under lock and key. And so for these type of operations to actually run successfully, they actually acquired 29 individual fictitious companies that use FedEx to actually send these packages to this actual fictitious shell companies, and they actually rank they actually hiked up the actual packing cost to almost a little, well, actually over $500,000 of just shipping. These fictitious companies did not pay their actual FedEx bill. And according to FedEx, it was over $500,000 of actual loss for them. And along with removing them labels, they also had to remove security features. So again, that tells me that they didn't walk out with this actual, they actually were in the back end receiving these actual boxes. So as they're actually conducting business, he's actually renting vehicles for his boosters to get around town. And these are actually being conducted in different states. So they're actually shipping these actual packages to him. And he got charged with obstruction of justice for the fact that he tried to remove the security cameras from his warehouse, showing all the actual criminal activity that actually was being conducted in that warehouse. He didn't have time to actually remove them. Um, he had actual good video for the prosecutors to use against him. And like I've said numerous times, stick what you know, don't bite off something you can't chew. And he made the mistake of actually buying 38. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Parmigian Waters. It's a Swiss company that actually supplies apparently some kind of watch. And a Swiss jeweler was robbed of 38 of these actual watches in the US, and he bought them. Somebody that knew that he was a fence actually bought these actual, he actually took in the watches and he tried to sell them to a local jeweler, which the FBI had already announced to the jewelers community to be on the lookout for these actual watches. And as he's trying to sell these watches to a local jeweler, that's when he was actually arrested. Therefore, them acquiring a search warrant to his warehouse, and they actually stumbled upon his actual fencing business and booster business. So that's how he actually came down. So if he would have been, he would eventually he would have got caught. But if he would have just kept to what he was doing, he would have been able to continue for a few more years, or maybe retired, maybe, because apparently he was good at it. But he bought them 38 stolen watches from that Swiss jeweler, and that's what his downfall was. Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.